Hi guys, welcome back to Skip the Small Talk. First of all, don't look at my eye bags. I'm so tired. It actually hurts. I feel like I'm just dissociating right now because if I think about how tired I actually am, I'll cry. I've had a very exciting week. It's all been really, really well, couple of weeks. I've not been home for over a week, 10 days. I've been in London for, and Oxford, but yeah, it's been very busy. It's all very fun stuff. I'm so lucky and grateful to do it all, but I am I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. Also, this week, I really didn't want to talk about autism and ADHD or anything related because I'm just really, again, with the burnout, tired of talking about it. I'm so croaky. I'm going to have to keep having a drink because I don't want you to listen to the croakiness of my voice, how tired I am. But yeah, I really didn't want this episode to be about something autism and ADHD related because I'm really tired of talking about it at the minute. I just feel like I'm at a point where I just can't talk about the same thing over and over again anymore. However, I am going to talk about it over and over again because my RSD is absolutely out of control at the moment. It's absolutely on one. And I don't really know why. I don't know if it's always been this bad and I've kind of just dissociated from it because I've been so busy. And now I'm just feeling it more because I am tired and burnt out. Or I don't know if it's something to do with the fact that I've come off my pills and my hormones are all over the place. I don't know if that's making it worse. Sorry, you probably heard that. If I just keep reacting to noises, I'm in London in a hotel and it's very central, so I just that was just someone beeping their horn outside. What was I saying? Yeah, my RSD is just I don't know if it's because of the fact that I if it's always been this bad and I've just dissociated from it. I don't know if it's because I've come off my pills so my hormones are a bit all over the place, so maybe a bit more sensitive, or I don't know if it's just it is just the worst it's been at the minute, but it's absolutely on one. So I assume if you're listening to this, you probably know what RSD is. But if you don't, RSD is short for Rejection Sensitivity Dysphoria. It's part of ADHD. I also think it's probably part of lots of neurodivergences in slightly different ways. So I think my my best friend has BPD, and as part of BPD there's fear of abandonment, which I think is personally the same as RSD but just framed slightly differently. But yeah, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, so it's very extreme pain at any real or perceived rejection, and yeah, that's the face value level of it. But I feel actually the more I've learned about it, the more it actually is just fear of rejection and fear of abandonment, and it's, yeah, basically just always feeling you're being rejected and you're not good enough and everyone hates you and you've done something wrong, and then feeling very extreme pain, emotional and physical pain because of a result of that. And I always thought of it in the more literal sense of when you're physically rejected, it's more painful. If you get rejected from a job or by a romantic partner or by a friend or whatever it is, actual physical rejection is obviously so intensely painful for anybody, but especially for us, it can send me into a complete spiral. But I've also sort of recently figured out, and I'm noticing more how much it's so much deeper than that as well. Obviously in the title it's real or perceived rejection, but I think the ways in which I perceive rejection all the time are just absolutely beyond anyone's wildest dreams, of just always feeling so one thing I was talking about in therapy recently is at school I talk about this in the first book on maths a bit, about the whole idea of pretty privilege. Because I look a certain way, I was put into social situations that I didn't actually have the social skills to navigate, but I just sort of looked like I belonged there, so I was able to be there, kind of thing. And then it always ended up going wrong. But I always was sort of in, almost in, or kind of in with the, I don't know, popular air quotes for anyone that's just listening, gang. But always just felt I am the outsider here and I'm just here out of luck, really. I'm just on borrowed time that I'm sort of here. It's just, I'm always 1 second away from being kicked out of the gangs. But if I just sit here and be as nice as physically possible and as small as physically possible, then maybe I'll be able to stay. And I always felt that way of that I'm here, physically I'm in the gang, but I'm very much on the outside of it, kind of thing. And I'm just biding my time until they realize that they don't want me here anymore. That was sort of always how I felt in school. And that's obviously part of RSD as well. You're just waiting for the rejection to happen, even though it hasn't actually happened yet, but you're feeling rejected even when you're in somewhere. But also that's sort of like the reality of life as an autistic person, that you are sort of you're made to feel that you're always on borrowed time, that you're going to do something or say something wrong and people aren't going to want you around anymore. But that feeling of like always like being in the place and being, but like sort of not really belonging in the place, but just like being there out of like luck and that you're going to get found out eventually. That's how I feel in all of the stuff that I'm doing at the minute. Like I'm doing so many cool, amazing things with my work, and it's sort of like similar to like imposter syndrome, I guess, but like not like career based imposter syndrome, just like human based imposter syndrome. Like it's not like I'm like, oh, I don't deserve to be here, like I've not done cool enough things to be here, I'm not like good enough to be here. It's not that. It's like I'm here, but you all hate me, or like you all will all hate me if I show you who I am as a person. It's not like I don't feel like I deserve to be there, like physically or like practically or like career wise, you know, like achievement wise. I can like see that I deserve to be in the room because I've like achieved cool things, but it's like personality wise, I'm here, but I'm not like in it. I don't belong here. Do you know what I mean? Like I always feel like say if I'm at an event and it's all like different creators and stuff, I'm all like, oh, you're just like putting up and like grinning and bearing my presence because you don't actually want to be my friend and you think that I'm annoying and a loser, and I'm like the biggest loser in the room, but everyone's just sort of like grinning and bearing it because they don't want to be rude, when that probably, I hope, isn't actually the case. Like it's just how I feel about it. And yeah, I don't know, it's having, I feel like I'm going to get upset now, this is like therapy. But I don't know, I just feel like so much of the time recently I'm like really, really feeling that rejection sensitive dysphoria, and it's just like making it so I can't enjoy anything that I'm doing because I just always feel like an outsider and always feel like I'm annoying and a loser and all of the fun stuff that we've felt for so much of our lives. And I imagine that a lot of you can relate to that. And I also think that like there's this like thing with like being a person on the internet that people sort of think that like, I don't know, people assume that all of that goes away because they just like see that you're doing the cool thing and they're like, oh, look at that person, like they've made it, they're doing so much better than me. And it's like, no, like I might be there physically, but it's also like my brain is in a completely different place and not having a great time. But I guess a few examples of this have happened recently, like to help you or me maybe see how ridiculous it is. It's like, so last week's episode of the podcast with Jordan that you hopefully have listened to, Jordan was like the loveliest person I've ever met. He was so nice, he was so kind, he was such a great guest to be like the first person for me to properly interview on the podcast when I was obviously like nervous and a bit stiff and awkward. Like he didn't make me feel awkward in any way because he's so good at like asking questions back and like talking openly and freely and all that fun stuff. And like at the end of when we finished, I don't think it's like on the recording, I think it's after we like finished recording, he was like, oh, are you like gonna go away and overthink that now? And I was like, yeah, probably. Like I probably will just think that I've been awful and it's been rubbish. And he was like, okay, just so, this is like the nicest thing that anyone has ever done for me, I think. He was like, just so you know, from my side, there is nothing that you need to overthink. Like I am not going to go away and think anything bad about you. Like I thought you were great. I thought this was great. Like from the other person's point of view, there is nothing for you to overthink here. Like just let me make that clear, like you do not need to overthink this. And that is like so nice for someone to give me that reassurance, because that's like what you want from every social interaction. But even with that reassurance, and then like also in the room at the time of the recording was like my friend Amy, who is like a podcast producer, so she was helping us with like the videoing. My brother Lewis was there helping with some like behind the scenes filming, and my manager Sarah Ann was there. And all of them, literally, like, as soon as it finished, so Jordan had just told me, there's nothing to overthink. I think you've been great. I've had a good time. He left. All three of them were like, that was amazing. Like, you smashed it. You did so good. Like, I can't believe that was, like, your first time, like, interviewing someone. Like, you were amazing. Like, blah, blah. Really, really bigging me up and being so nice to me. So I'd had so much external, like, confirmation and validation that I'd done well, and all I could think was like, I was awful. Like he hates me. He actually hates me. He thinks I'm the most awkward, stiff person in the world. He thinks I'm a loser. Like everyone, like I was so bad at that. Like I was just awkward. Like I can't do this. Like I think it's awkwardness is how I feel about myself. Like I feel like I'm just like this awkward presence. Why did I feel like that? And it literally, I've really like nearly cried when we left, because I was like, I just was so awkward. Like I'm an awkward person to be around. And I was so emotional when we left. But like I physically had reassurance. Do you know how nice it is to actually have that reassurance? Like because normally you don't get that. Normally you leave a social situation and you go and you don't know if they had a good time or not. Whereas I literally had confirmation from all the people around me that I had done a good job in that situation. And still, I was like almost crying. I've not been able to watch it back. All of the other episodes I've watched back before they've gone live, because I want to make sure that like I've not like said something that I don't really want to be on the internet, or like that everything's like edited the way that I want, and that, well, not that there's much editing that happens. It's sort of just, it's like if I just pause for like 10 minutes it'll get cropped out. But I watch them back anyway to make sure that I'm happy with them before they go out. I've not been able to watch that one. I said to Lewis and Amy, who was editing it, I was like, I can't, you're just gonna have to like tell me that it's okay, because I can't watch it back. I don't want to know how bad I was. Why does my brain like that? And that like typically would not be considered to be like rejection sensitive dysphoria, because he's not rejected me. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I've asked him, do you want to go and do something afterwards, and he said, no, you're all right, thanks. He hasn't rejected me, but it's like my fear of like being rejected as a person, I guess, rather than like specific rejection. It's just like that people just aren't going to like me, even though there is absolutely nothing to suggest that this person doesn't like me. If anything, there's more to suggest that they do like me, because they have physically told me that I did a good job. So that was like one big one that's like really stuck out. And then I guess the reason that I'm talking about it today is like on what day is it? So today's Wednesday. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. I don't even know anymore. Today's Wednesday. You'll hear this on Sunday, but today's Wednesday when I'm recording. And on Monday, I went to the Pride of Britain Awards, which was like amazing. I absolutely adore red carpet events. It's so like, it just makes you like really appreciate like how far you've come, and like being in the like the room of the carpet with so many cool, amazing people. Like anyway, like any of the red carpet events that I've done, but like the Pride of Britain itself is obviously like these people who are doing the coolest stuff in the world, like literally amazing, inspiring things. So like, yeah, it was amazing to be there, right? It's amazing to be there to watch the thing, and it's amazing to be in the room with so many cool people who are in attendance, as well as people who are like winning the awards. And I was with Michelle, who is my friend, who we had the same publicist. So we like, I often call her my red carpet big sister, because she's done more events than me, and she's so much like more in the know of like what to do and where to be. So I just sort of like cling behind her on the red carpet. It's the second like one we've done together. I was with her, and then I also made a new friend, right? It's someone that I've not met before. We had the same publicist, I think, like quite recently, like they've joined. We've not met before. I wasn't aware of them on the internet before or anything. Made a new friend, right? Was like with them the whole after party for like 3 hours plus, right? Chatting to them, having a great time, getting along, making friends. I was like, in the moment, I'm like, oh, look at me, I'm making a friend. Had a great time with them, right? Followed them on Instagram, messaged them after. We were literally talking at the event about the fact that we're both awful repliers. We were like, it's just so like, I feel rude all the time, but because like my phone is my job, I just can't reply to my friends or anybody, because there's just like, I look at my phone and I see like 1,000 notifications, and it's overwhelming. So whether that's like a text from my best friend, or whether that's like a like from a stranger on the internet, they're all just there on your phone. So it's like becomes very overwhelming to be able to like talk to people, even if you love these people to death, right? We've had this physical conversation. So I have had confirmation from this person. I do not reply to people often, and it's not personal to the person. It could be the person that I love most in the whole entire world, but I still find it difficult to reply. So I know that objectively, right? Then I've spent the evening with this person, had a really nice time, got along with them really well. Messaged them on the way home just to be like, so we talking about the fact that we were both rubbish repliers. So I messaged to be like, oh, is she gonna get a text back? And like briefly spoke to them that night. Like they replied being like, so lovely to meet you tonight, right? Again, the validation that I say that I need, got the validation. So lovely to meet you tonight. Another reply the next day saying like, had a lovely time last night. Literally objectively telling me they enjoyed my presence, we had a good time, we're friends, okay? They're literally saying it in black and white, I had a good time with you. Then I've like replied, and then no response for like not even long, 12 hours, something maybe. But bearing in mind, they've just literally told me in the room that they don't reply often, okay? I've told them that I also don't reply often. I also leave my best friends on red for more than 12 hours frequently, and that's like my best friends in the world, not like a new friend that I've just met once, right? In my head, I'm like, they hated me. I was awful. They were just like literally grinning and bearing my presence, like they hate me, I'm so clingy, I'm so annoying, like no one's ever going to want to be my friend, they hate me. They've told you, they've spent the time, right? They spent the time with you They could have gone off and spoke to anybody. Do you know how many amazing people there were in this after party? Like literally every celebrity you can think of is in this one bar in this after party, right? They've spent the whole night talking to you. You've like laughed with each other. You've told funny stories. You've like got shared interests. You've spent the entire night sat talking to one another, right? Then they've actually physically confirmed, so lovely to meet you. So like had a lovely time with you. And then you still can't compute that information and you think they hate me. Everybody hates me. They hate me. No one's ever going to like me. They think I'm annoying. They think I'm clingy. No, they don't. They don't think that. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they do think that. But and it's like, it's just constant. And I have this with like another like friend as well of like, I think this is why like my love life, this is like, those things are not love life related. But I feel like this is like why my love life and sort of like friendship life is so toxic, because I need somebody, like the way that my RSD works is like, if you're not literally love bombing me, I will be convinced that you hate me. So obviously normal healthy people are not love bombing you. Normal healthy people are texting you to say had a lovely time with you and then not blowing up your phone 24/7, because that's all that it needs to be confirmed that you're friends with somebody. You don't have to be in constant contact and like the highest level of reassurance at all times, right? But I need, if I don't have literally like we meet and then you are blowing up my phone for the next 3 days, then my brain's like, they hate me. They don't like me. They don't like me. They hate me. They thought I was awkward. They thought I was annoying. They thought I was stiff. They think I'm too much. They think I'm too clingy. They think I'm annoying. So that's why I like, it's only when someone is actually like love bombing me that I believe that they like me, because that's the level of reassurance that I need to know. And that's not normal. And I'm really tired of it. And I do think a lot of it is like CPTSD, because of like how bad my social situations have been. Like the fact that like everybody has left and everybody has not been my friend, that then I go like, I think like, yeah, some of it is like innately RSD and just the way that my brain works. I am always going to be sensitive to rejection, or perceived rejection. But part of it is, I think, well, I know the fact that I need to process some trauma from my younger years, but I just find it so hard to do, because it's like, if you're like in that frame of mind that you're looking for rejection or that you're like sensitive to it, you can take everything. I think this is what I'm saying is like, at the minute I am taking everything as rejection, even though it's not rejection. Like it's literally just normal behavior. And like another like friend that I have, again, is just like not a big texter. I cannot express this enough, right? I am not a big texter. I frequently leave my best friends on red for multiple days, right? And I will spend time with somebody, and if they're not suddenly replying to me, I will literally convince myself that they hate me. And I can't use the fact that we've had a nice time in person together as evidence that they actually like me, because I'm like, oh, maybe they were just like putting up with me. Maybe they just like thought that they couldn't say no. Maybe they just wanted to be at that place with me because it would like look good for them. Like, I think the fact that I actually have like a following and a cool life now sort of even makes it worse, because it's like, that's another possible angle for rejection, is that they're using me like for clout, basically, of like, oh, this person's just like being nice to me in the moment because they want to be in this cool room with me where cool things are going to happen for them, or they want me to like post that I've been with them, or like all of these things. Like, it's another possible angle for my brain to go down of like a reason why somebody might be nice to me that doesn't actually mean that they like me as a person. So that's really fun. But yeah, I guess my RSD is just, and another one is that I cannot communicate directly with people. All I ask for, like all the time, I spend so much of my life going into workplaces or like posting online about the fact that I need direct communication from people, right? And I do. As an autistic person, I can't read between the lines. I need people to be direct. It'd be so much easier if all of the time people were just direct with me, but I can't be direct with them anymore, even though my nature is that I need like that directness to be able to understand what's going on. I don't and can't communicate directly at the moment or anymore, because then that's like, if I am direct in what I'm saying, then you can reject that and then that would hurt. Whereas if I just like, I'm sort of like this ball of anxious people pleasing energy, then I'm not doing anything that you can like outright reject, but I'm just like sort of taking everything as rejection anyway. So it's like the most faulty defense mechanism in the world. But like, even like say in a situation like what I'm saying of like meeting a new friend and then like afterwards wanting to like be friends with that person rather than just like having a nice night with them and then never seeing them again. Like, I could just say to somebody, so nice to meet you tonight, like would love to see you again while I'm in London this week, whatever. But I won't say that because I'm like, oh, then that puts me up for that. They could be like, no, I don't want to see you this week. So I just won't ask and I won't say it. But then I'll be like stressed that they're not being that direct with me, like to let me know that they want to be my friend or whatever, when I'm not doing that to them, do you know? Or like I won't directly say to somebody like, yeah, do you want to, like, whether that's even just like platonically, but like let alone romantically, right? I'm just about to start working. Well, I've just started working kind of I've not like filmed anything yet, but I've just started working with a dating app, right? I spent the whole day with them yesterday. I'm about to go to another event with them today. And then like the event that we did yesterday was like reflecting on 2024, not just like in a dating sense, but like also including relationships, and like setting up our intentions for 2025 and like doing that and reflecting on the last year. It's like I won't ever even admit to myself or anyone around me that I like somebody or that I'm interested in someone in a romantic way, because then it's like there's a chance that they don't feel the same and then that's going to be a rejection. So I then just like don't say anything on this anxious ball of energy, but then I'm like annoyed that other people aren't being direct with me, but then I'm not being direct with anyone either, and it's just very, very silly. But yeah, I think I'm just sort of like realizing more and more how much that like fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of not being liked is not just affecting me in like that physical sense of like not saying something to be rejected or being hurt when I'm being rejected, but it's just like that I'm constantly existing in this state of like, I was saying to my therapist yesterday that it's almost like you know, like those like whac-a-mole games where it's like the like mole comes up and you whack it, obviously in the name, thanks Ellie, but yeah, I'm like, I almost feel like, so in my head I'm like that directness or that like putting yourself out there for rejection is like a mole coming out of the whack-a-mole, right? So I have just like I'm learning that, or it's like I've learned that if I put the mole up, if I put myself out there, then I just get whacked back in because I just get rejected, or I'm just assuming that I'm going to get rejected. So I'm just like, they're all just like stuck inside, like they're just not able to like come out of the hole. So it's just like this like anxious energy or like stuck inside because the things aren't going out because I'm scared that they're going to be whacked back in. And that's just like not a good place to be. And what stresses me out as well is, I think I kind of slightly spoke about this in the first episode, of like, I can see logically that like the thing that I'm trying to avoid by not putting myself out there is like being disliked, right? Like that's the whole essence of it, is that you like don't want people to not like you, so you're not like doing things that could like scare them off essentially. But then by being this like anxious ball of people pleasing energy all the time, that's more likely to scare people off. Like if I was like spending time with somebody and they were this anxious ball of energy that I could tell was just like trying to please me and wasn't like expressing any needs and wasn't like asking me anything directly, and they were just like eager to please all the time, like waiting for me to do something that they could please, then that would stress me out and that would scare me off, and I wouldn't want to spend time with that person. Whereas if I met somebody and that they were direct with me and they were like, you know, I really like you, or I want to be friends with you, I want to spend time with you, like, or I need this from you, or this is how I work, or this is what, you know, they were like putting themselves out there and clearly expressing themselves, whether that's like a boundary or a need or like an intention or a want or like how they feel. I would find that would be less likely to scare me off. Like I would find that like attractive in whatever sense, whether that's like romantically or platonically or whatever. I would find that like, I'd be like, whoa, this person's cool. Like Jordan Stevens, for example, he's very confident, very self-assured, but very kind in doing that. And I was like, you're so cool. Like even being in his presence, I was like, this is like astonishing to me that you are just like, you have this energy about you that you're just like I don't want to say assertive because that feels like aggressive almost, but it's like good, like pleasantly assertive almost, of like able to just say like, this is who I am, this is what I need, this is what I want. And I was like, and he was like saying in the episode about how like he will like let like friends and partners and whatever know like, this is how you need to love me. And I was like, I would absolutely adore that if someone was like that with me. I would be like in amazement that they had that like ability and confidence and like value of themselves to be able to do that. And then it's that thing of like, the more that someone values themselves, the easier it is for you to value them, because you're like, whoa, they know that they're like the shit, so I also agree that they're the shit. Whereas like, so yeah, basically it's like backwards. It's like backwards that I'm thinking, oh, so that I don't scare anyone off, I will be this anxious ball of energy, when in reality that anxious ball of energy that isn't like, that's holding in any urges or needs or wants or expressions, is actually scaring people off more. Like, that's not attractive in any way. It's like similar to, I've just gone like off on a tangent, but full circle. But like, yeah, in the first episode, I said like that it actually really upsets me that like in trying to like be appealing to people, like I go really quiet and stiff and awkward, and or how I feel is really like, I'm not myself, right? I cover myself up and I make myself small. Whereas when I'm not doing that, like when I'm with Lewis, my brother, I feel like I just like talk about Lewis all the time in this podcast. And he also edits it, and I think he's like getting a bigger ego, being like, yeah, I'm the cool, he's like the mystery guy that no one knows. Well, you probably do know if you're on my socials, but yeah, maybe I'm gonna do an episode with him soon. Anyway, when I'm with Lewis, I am not being so aware of myself that I'm controlling everything that I do and not masking as much, right? And I prefer that person. Like, that person, if I was that person all the time, people would like it more. People would objectively like that person more when I'm not trying to make them like me. And it's just exhausting to be stuck in that thing of like, yeah, that thing of like, I'm doing all of this stuff to avoid rejection, but in doing that stuff, I'm making rejection more likely. And I'm also just assuming rejection in every single thing that happens, when none of those things most likely are rejection. Like, someone who has told me objectively that they are not good at not replying to me, is not a rejection of me. That's just them behaving how they behave. Someone who I literally has sat there and told me, you did a great job today, you don't need to overthink this, that they're not rejecting me by saying that, funnily enough. And like another person who was like really sort of like makes me feel like they enjoy my presence, I'm a good friend with them then not texting me between those meetings isn't them rejecting me. That's just them having a life. And I do that to other people, and I don't consider that to be rejecting them. Like, me not replying to my friends or whatever it might be isn't me rejecting them. It's just me living my life. It's not a reflection of them whatsoever, but I always take it as a reflection of me when other people do it to me. And I don't know, it's just, I guess you can relate. And I think this is actually quite therapeutic for me, because it's like one of those things where it's like, this is another thing that my therapist always says to me, knowing and feeling are very different things. Like, I know objectively that it's ridiculous to take all of these things as rejection all the time and take everything so personally, but it's very difficult to then like feel that way of like, that I don't feel it as rejection rather than knowing it's not. I think that was needed. Thank you for being my little virtual therapist. But yeah, essentially just, I don't even know what the point is of this. RSD is absolutely kicking my butt at the minute, and you're not alone if you feel the same. And I actually saw a clip of Leanne, who is, see, again, I'm like, oh, Leanne, who's one of my closest friends. I probably haven't spoken to Leanne in 6 months. Like, literally, I probably haven't spoken to her in 6 months. But Leanne was my ADHD coach, also a good friend, but again, someone that I haven't rejected, but if I was them, I would think that I was rejected by them, by me. She was like doing a clip about like how you then, it's like sort of like triggers like the anxious attachment spiral of like, then because you feel like you're being rejected, I can't remember the example she used. It was about like, I think it was about texting, of like you text someone and you don't get a reply, and then like you think that you're being rejected in not having a response, so then you're like so terrified of that rejection that you then like spiral and you want to like send another message to make sure that you haven't done something wrong to like fix it, and then that one gets replied as well because they're like gets ignored as well because they're still, I don't know, busy or not on their phone or whatever, and then it's like this like anxious again spiral of just like being like making it worse for yourself. Like, again, in wanting to fix the thing, you're trying to like not, you want that person to like you, but in like, if you're then sending like 50 texts to someone to be like, what have I done, why do you hate me, that's not attractive to somebody. And I think that's so frustrating, of like the one thing that you're trying to get, like basically all that I am looking for in life all of the time is like acceptance, belonging, like being liked, I don't know, being loved. I think acceptance is probably the biggest, like acceptance and belonging is probably the best way to put it, but it's like in all of these ways, it's like, I want people to want to be my friend, I want people to want to spend time with me, I want people to like me, I want to belong somewhere, I want people to like me as much as I like them and value me as much as I value them and think that I'm as cool as I think they are. In doing that, you're then actually making it less likely that happens, because all of the ways that you're like trying to get that behavior, it's like the anxious attachment. And I think what's actually really strange to me is that I have always considered myself to be like on the anxious side, but like if I get my needs met, I become very secure. Like when I've been like in a long-term relationship, even though it turned out to be not great in the end, like once I know, like once I'm comfortable in the fact that someone does like me, or like in a relationship sense love me, I'm fine with that. Like in my friendships, I'm very secure. Like Alex, my best friend, she could ignore me for like a month and I wouldn't think Alex hates me. I would be like, Alex is going to be there when she comes back. Like she is just a solid, consistent truth. And like Charlie is the same. Like I've got to that same point with Charlie now of like, I know that if they don't reply to me, I'm not then questioning that and be like, they hate me, they don't love me anymore. Like, no, I know, like once I'm comfortable and like I have the solid knowledge that someone does love me and someone is going to stick around, I'm not anxious anymore. Like I can let them be free. Like in my relationship, I was not like a worrier of like being convinced someone was going to leave me or someone was going to like cheat on me or any of those things. Like once I'm safe in the knowledge that you do love me and you are going to stay, then I'm so like secure. But it's like, it's so rare that you get to that point because of, I guess, because the way that our society is at the moment, that like everything is like just very, everyone's busy, everyone's doing stuff, and everyone is like scared, I think, to some sort of level of like putting themselves out there and being like too much. I think of like, it's like cool to be like distant, and it's like, it's not cool to be like forward with your feelings. So it's like, it's so rare that I ever get to that point of knowing that someone, even like in like, yeah, platonic terms of like with Alex and Charlie, like it's so rare that you get to that point of knowing that someone likes you, that you then can feel comfortable in that you don't have to do that anxious spiral of they hate me, they don't like me. And I think actually as well, interestingly, I get that triggered more in men, even if I only want to be platonic with them, even if I don't like romantically. It's not that I'm like wanting them to be in love with me or date me or whatever. It's just that I enjoy their company and I want to be their friend. But for some reason, I think probably because of my love life and past, that I get that triggered so much more with men, that I don't know, maybe patriarchy and stuff, that it's like more ingrained in you that you have to do things to please men and they won't like you just as you are. But like, yeah, in male friendships or male people that I meet that I get along with, even if it's not that I'm like, oh my god, I'm in love with this person, I get that sort of like anxious RSD thing triggered a lot more, because I don't know why, but it's then very frustrating, because then I think, again, you like give off the impression that you're like in love with this person. It's like, no, I just want to know that you're my friend and you're not going to leave me. I just want to secure your place in my life, and that's it. But I do think like what Jordan said in that podcast about like letting people know how to love you has really stuck with me. But then I do think it's rare that you feel like I don't know, I think in my head it's like, I feel like I would have to be at a certain point of knowing somebody to be able to then like set those, not like especially boundaries, but just like instructions for like he would say to somebody, you know, if I'm sharing something with you, I can have this like rejection response, so you need, or it would be, if you want to help me, it would be helpful for you to always start with something positive. Or like I've spoken in therapy about like, I think I need that thing of like, I did a video this week about like how if I've spent time with somebody, I'll always message them afterwards being like, you know, had a really great time with you, like can't wait to see you soon, because it's like that confirmation to them of like, you know, like thanks so much for today, like had a great time, can't wait to see you soon, like let's get another date booked in, not like date as in date, but like date as in mate date. And it's that from me is like the confirmation of like, you did good, I had a good time, and like I'm not leaving. And I think that's like what I need from people. But like I could say that to somebody, like I could have met this new friend the other night and I could have said like, you know, I have like had a really nice time with you tonight, like I see us being friends, like just so you know, I can get anxious, so like it like or I could just like do the thing, I could just be like, let's like have a plan for a second, like let's like plan a coffee while we're here, or let's plan an event like while we're here, so then that's locked in of like that they're not leaving, they're not going to go. But like because of the RSD, which is like the reason that I need that confirmation in the first place, I'm scared of asking for the confirmation that I need, because I feel like I'm going to get rejected from that confirmation, and it's just tiring, you know. But yeah, basically my RSD is on 1 at the moment. I also think that like I should probably have some sort of trauma therapy, because I think it's probably gone past the point of RSD to now being like CPTSD. But yeah, that's it for today. Just me blabbing about how my brain thinks everyone hates me all the time, but hopefully this was relatable. Yeah, maybe I'll talk about something else neurodivergence related next week. Maybe I won't. Maybe it'll just always take over my life all of the time. But I do actually feel a bit better for getting this off my chest. But here, if you need it from me, if you're my friend, if we've met, if I've had a nice time with you, I do like you. I'm not rejecting you. I love you. I am, just not always great at responding to people. And I'm also probably slightly emotionally unavailable. Anyhow, hope you have a good week. I'm going to shut up now because I've been blabbing for a really long time. Please confirm that you had a nice time listening to this in the comments. This is me learning how to set that boundary. Please tell me you don't hate me. Please tell me you're not going to leave. And I will see you next week. Bye. I love you.